I always say that there are people who it's just not for them. Africa's just not for them.
Yeah.
I got stuck in America because Ghana shut down its borders. Something told me not to go straight to that apartment. There are a lot of pastors encouraging these guys to go out and find women from the West and marry them. So I was livid at that point. I was like, okay, so now I see you. I really see all of it. She was getting taken for every little
Yeah.
piece of money that she had, right? He had been bringing women in and out of the apartment, had parties at they're sitting there all day smoking marijuana, this job. They think, oh,
All right, hey guys, welcome back. Today I have with me Adwoa. I know you've been on a couple of other people's channels before, but I thought today is my turn.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to hear all about your journey to Ghana, what brought you here, a little bit about your background, how you're doing here, and all of that good stuff. So first of all, let's start. You can tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Adwoa Davis, and mental health therapist and dating relationship coach, actress, model. What else do I do? A lot of things, but acting and modeling are like my thing right now. I started when I was young, and then I decided I need to go to college and get a real job. And so now I'm tapping back into my creative side, and so I love it. It's just fun, and and I'm learning to write scripts right now. So
That's nice.
so I have a script that I'm writing, and so it's funny. We're talking about my journey here, and we talked about dating and relationships and so forth before. And so the script is kind of around, like,
Really?
the intercultural relationships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I want it to be kind of a comedy like series.
Okay. Oh, it sounds very interesting. Oh, okay. I can't wait to find out a bit more about that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
so that's me, and I guess people say that I'm a bit of a socialite here. I know a lot of people. A lot of people know me.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I spend most of my time on my sofa in my house. I was telling a friend the other day, I went out. I'm in the house all the time because I work from home. Right?
Yeah.
And I went to the grocery store, went to Malcolm, and someone said, and they were like, oh, you went out the house. And I said, yeah, and I saw like 6 people I knew in there. So,
Yeah. I find that grocery stores are a great place to meet people. I bump into people all the time. I'm like, oh, hey. Yeah. So how long have you been in Ghana now?
So September 6th will be 5 years. Exactly.
5 years. Okay, that's a good amount of time. So are you Ghanaian? Do you have any?
My father was Ghanaian.
Oh, really? I didn't actually know that.
A lot
It's
of
when
people
you said
don't know
your name, and I was like, there's a Ghanaian name in there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's something I don't really lead with. Yeah, because it's
Why is
kind of
that?
a touchy subject. Because I never met my father, don't know, so I kind of landed here because I just wanted to know that side of myself. I originally just planned to leave America, period. I never fit in there, knew always since I was a child that I would not live there forever. So 2019, I was like traveling everywhere, just going. Going different places, trying to decide where I was going to move.
Why did you feel like you didn't fit in America?
I've always kind of been the oddball. I was that, in school, you have your different cliques, right?
Yeah.
I was cool with everybody, but never fit in with anybody. I didn't have like a best friend or, somebody that, I just really like connected with. Like, everybody had their different tables, I don't know how it is in the UK. But, I'd say hey to everybody, but I'd be sitting at a table by myself.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, I come from a family, like, my grandmother was well-traveled. Like, my grandfather was Air Force. And and I was just taught to have this view of the world. My grandmother, I remember we were in the commissary shopping one day. I was like 7 years old. And I was trying to decide, like, I loved grape Welch's soda and strawberry.
Right.
Those were my two favorites, and I could only pick one. So I was sitting there pondering, like, okay, which one am I going to get?
Yeah.
Which one am I going to get? And my grandmother was like, why don't you try the orange? And I was like, no. And so she looked at me, she said, baby, she said, the world is much broader than what you see right in front of you. So you have to try different things.
Yes.
So that right there stuck with me.
That's great advice, though.
Yeah.
Really great advice.
But I ended up getting grape anyway. But
Stuck with what you do.
So,
Yeah.
But I took that into my life in general.
Yeah.
So, and then Africa was always like something that was just deep down in me. When I had to go live with my biological mother, we moved into this house, and when we moved in, there were 2 sets of Britannica encyclopedias. And I was an avid reader. If it was readable, I read it. So I set out to read all of the books from cover to cover, the whole. So I did. I read the whole encyclopedia set. But I would always go back to A in Africa.
Oh.
And the pictures were so beautiful. And I remember there was a picture of an albino African, and just all the different colors of the people and all of just the landscape and everything. I was just so drawn to it. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I came from a family that were very kind of upper middle class and very much embraced like the high society culture, debutante balls and fraternities and sororities and all of those things. So and because of our economic background, like Africa, no.
We ain't going to that place.
Absolutely. We don't know that. We don't know anything about that place. We're not going to the place. I'll tell you, my grandmother has traveled all over the world, but never came to Africa.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, she missed out.
She did. She did. But it was.
Do you think she would have liked it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I would have had to really curate a really good, tour for her.
Yeah.
Okay. She's one of those people. I always say that there are people who it's just not for them. Africa's just not for them.
Oh yeah. And I think that's a really great that you said that, because we sometimes have this narrative where we feel like everybody should come to Africa. Come and try Africa.
Absolutely not.
And it's really not for everybody. It's not. Yeah.
I was talking to a guy not too long ago in the States, and he came with a mutual friend of ours, right? And I was like, I'm not sure this is going to work, because you ain't going to make it here, because he got so upset over the fact he couldn't get ice.
No.
I'm like, you're a little spoiled.
Yeah.
Like, I'm spoiled and bougie, but
yeah.
I'm flexible,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And you just adjust, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, he was so upset about that ice.
Really?
I was like, I don't know if this ain't gonna work, because I'm not going back to the States.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're gonna make it here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
If you get upset about ice, there are worse things to get upset about.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So if you're that upset about some ice, we ain't gonna make it. We're not gonna make it.
It's not gonna work.
Right.
No.
So
okay.
So yeah. So Ghana was actually my last trip of the year. And I knew nothing about the year of return or any of this stuff or whatever. And so I came with the intention of meeting, I found a brother, meeting my brother and just kind of filling it out, whatever. So I did, came in. As soon as I landed here, I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Really? You felt it immediately? But you had been to other African countries?
No. This was my first African country. So I had gone to... So my number one choice to move to was Belize at first.
Okay.
And then South Africa was second, just because I went to Howard. And I don't know if you know Howard University.
I've heard of it.
Okay, yeah. So I went to Howard, and the dean of my college, he was from South Africa, so we had a partnership.
Yeah.
So had I gone to South Africa, I would have had some opportunities there, whatever. So that's what I was thinking about. But yeah, I had started my practice, and it was already I was already doing telemedicine before telemedicine was a thing. So I could pretty much move and go and do where I wanted to go. And so, like I said, once I landed in Ghana, it was like, okay, yeah, this is it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I had been everywhere. The Caribbean, Cuba. I loved Cuba. Yeah, if the internet was strong, I might have just ended up in Cuba. But
okay.
I was in Europe. I had done the UK some years ago, and I didn't like it.
Okay.
Went to Paris. Yeah, I don't know, girl, I was everywhere.
Sounds like you're well traveled, that's for sure.
So just trying to figure out where I was going to be. Yeah.
So did you know anybody here at all before you moved?
No, so I had connected with a brother online, and so
You don't think that was dangerous?
yeah, it is, but I don't think about things like that from that perspective. I'll say this. I have had experiences in my life that most people would not recover from, but the outcome was such that it made me know that I'm covered.
Right. Okay.
I'm not a religious person, but I believe that everyone has a path. And that path is laid out for you, and the universe, the ancestors, whatever you believe in, is always going to make sure you get back. Even if you make some detours, you're going to get back on that path.
Yeah.
Right? And so I knew that, especially once I arrived, I was like, oh, yeah, it's going to work out. Like, I just knew. Like, I took a chance. And so the thing was, he was going to be a tour guide with this tour group that was starting up.
Okay.
So I signed up for the tour group. So that gave us an opportunity to kind of feel each other out from afar. Yeah. And then by the end of the time that I was going to be here, we were good.
Okay. All right. So tell me, what was your first day like when you moved here? How did that go?
Oh, girl, let me tell you. First day. So let me go back just a little bit because I got stuck in America because Ghana shut down its borders. I was supposed to leave and come here April 1st. And Ghana shut down March 24th or something like that.
I don't remember.
Yeah. So, okay. When I left Ghana from the tour, right, I went back home. I was supposed to have surgery. So I was going to be bedridden for like 8 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So I literally was kind of like in my house, like my house was like a 3-story house. And so like the middle level was like the entrance or whatever. And then I'm upstairs in my bedroom, whatever. Yeah. So literally I'm like stuck upstairs. So like my door was like, I had a side door. Door was, I kept it unlocked until in case anybody came in or out or whatever. So I don't know. It was like, when I had told, people, hey, I'm having surgery, I'm going to need your support, I need your help or whatever, the people that I asked to help me didn't show up for me. And just so happened, like a couple of other people that I didn't even know, like realize, I could call on or whatever, they're the ones that showed up for me. Right. And so I woke up one morning, I was like, what am I staying here for? Like, what am I doing? Like, what's my purpose here? Like, I pour into people, and I think that I was expecting a little more support, right? And this was a lesson for me, and I tell people this all the time. When you pour into people, right, you give to people, and then you expect them to give it back in return, you're going to be greatly disappointed.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You have to look at it as you're planting seeds. And I always say, like, you can have a garden, right? And you plant you plant tomatoes, right? You expect to get tomatoes, right? But then you go outside and you got okra growing. You're like, what the hell? What happened to my tomatoes, right?
Yeah.
But then you get a knock at the door. Your neighbor has a bunch of tomatoes.
Right.
Your blessing's not always going to come from where you plant the seeds.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a lesson for me. And we are always on this growth journey. You should be on a consistent growth journey,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So that was a lesson for me. And that helped me to learn to manage my expectations of people, right?
I think that's huge. That's something that I feel like that's where disappointment stems from in everything that you do, because we expect certain things from people. And really, we have no ownership over that. We have no control over it. So
Absolutely.
you're just setting yourself up for disappointment.
Absolutely. Therapy tip for the day. That was
Yeah.
So I realized though, like I had checked all the boxes. You know, society says, okay, you're supposed to, you know, go to college. You're supposed to, you know, have a career. You're supposed to buy a big house. You're supposed to have a big car, get married, you know, have kids. I didn't do the kids part, but, you know, I checked all the boxes.
Yeah.
But I wasn't fulfilled. It wasn't supposed to be what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. I'm so sick of that narrative, honestly. Like, I think I must say on every single podcast that I do, I'm sick of this narrative, this roadmap that people have for you.
Yeah.
Go to college, get married, get a mortgage, have kids, do...
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be that way.
No,
and
it
it
doesn't.
sets you up for failure because if it's not what you want.
Absolutely. So I have a dear friend. I call him the millionaire next door. Like he's just like this bachelor, and he's made a conscious choice that he's not going to get married and have kids because he likes being in business. But I've seen him at his highest. I've seen him at his lowest. And so, but he is like my financial advisor, my money guy, my close friend, everything. So I told him, I said, I've been just thinking about just going around, just moving around different places, right?
Yeah.
So that was what started the 2019 journey of flying and, trying to figure out where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And so he told me, he's like, well, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And so I was like, people do it,
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't have any idea about being an expat or, being a nomad, a digital nomad, none of this. So this is how my brain works. And so you asked me, how, why did I feel like I didn't fit in?
Yeah.
It's because I come up with these crazy ideas and then I act on them. And you're like, what are you doing?
That's weird.
That's just weird. I've always been that person.
Yeah.
But I've had the most fulfilling life.
I bet you have.
Yeah. So I just realized none of this is making me happy. It's not fulfilling me, right? And so that's when I was like, yeah, because I planned to kind of go back and come visit a couple more times more or whatever. And I was like, nah, I'm just going to pack up and move.
Really?
Yeah. Because I planned to just kind of fill it out some more. I had some more places I was going to go, right? And I was like, yeah.
So how did you go about finding a place here and doing all that stuff? Because that is what people worry about. How am I going to set myself up?
Yeah, so when I went on the tour, I kind of made friends with all the tour guides, all the local people, local people, right? And so there was this one guy that he took a liking to me. I wasn't sure about him or whatever. But anyway, we ended up talking a lot more, right? So I told him, hey, I think I want to move there. So I asked him, hey, can you kind of keep an eye out, for a place? So he made it his mission. He found me a place. A week or so later, he found me a place.
Okay.
So I was like, okay. So because I told him, I said, I work from home. I want to be, close to Accra, in case I want to go out or whatever. But I don't have to be that close, so keep that in mind for as far as cost, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't know the lay of the land that well, of course. So he's like, oh, okay, well, I found this place, and it ended up being in Kaswa.
Oh, no.
Every time I say that, everybody knows. Ghana. You know Kaswa, right?
Oh, gosh.
So I didn't know at the time, right? So I said, but the apartment was beautiful. Like if that apartment was in Accra, oh my gosh, they would make so much money off of it.
Yeah.
So I sent him the money. He paid it, and he did everything that he was supposed to do with my money.
For how much did you have to pay?
2 years.
2 years
I
up front.
did it 2 years up front, right?
Ooh.
It wasn't that much. It was like only, was it like 3,000 US, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. So, but he did everything that he was supposed to do. So, like, he was building my trust and everything, right? Okay. But as time went on, I started seeing some things in him. And I think we talked about, like, the leadership skills of the Ben here and the integrity is not its best, right?
Yes.
So he was definitely not someone I would date.
Yeah.
But in his mind, we were in a relationship, which I learned later.
Oh.
Okay. So when I decided to leave, so remember I got stuck in the U.S. I basically packed up my house. By mid-March, my house was packed up, right? And so, because as soon as the doctor released me from my surgery recovery, I was like, okay, I'm out of here. So when my house was all packed up, I moved out of my house, and I was literally homeless. So I stayed with a friend, and so I was, as COVID was like, really heating up or whatever. I know here it was like it wasn't as big. It wasn't a big deal.
No, it really wasn't.
Right, but in America it was a mess, right? Yeah. And so I called the airline. I was like, look, Ethiopian Airlines. I had a ticket. So I was like, okay, well, if I wanted to go visit friends in Ethiopia, for a few days, what would be the protocol? They're like, oh, yeah, you can come, and you have to stay in the COVID hotel for like 7 days, and then you can, be in the city as long as you want to. Okay. I was like, oh, okay, well, sign me up, because I was like, I got to get out of here, because I was scared they were going to close the border. Yeah. In America, and I wasn't going to be able to get out. Right. So I was like, I got to get out of here. And mind you, like, I'm trying to hold space for, at that time I had about 75 clients. Oh, wow. And then trying to hold space for myself. Like maintaining my own, because I was nearing a nervous breakdown. Yeah. I was just like, I've got to get out of here. Like, I cannot do America anymore. So I ended up going to Ethiopia and was there for a couple of months, I think, until Ghana opened its borders. During that time, though, something told me not to go straight to that apartment. Okay. So, I talk about trusting your gut. Yeah. Women, always trust your gut. If something doesn't feel right, detour. Yes. And then sort things out later. But trust your gut. Absolutely. So, there was this lady that had contacted me, inboxed me. During this time, we were kind of waiting out, trying to figure out what Ghana was going to do when they were going to open their borders. She had explained to me, she was kind of in the same situation because she was trying to get to Ghana to be with her husband. So, as, I got to know her a little bit more, I realized, she's being scammed. Yeah. I saw it. So when I got here, well, first and foremost, I didn't tell anybody I was coming. Oh, you didn't? I didn't tell anybody I was coming. Nobody. Why? Because I wanted to figure things out without the lens of a local and build trust on my own, right? On my own terms. Yeah. So what I did was I booked an Airbnb in the city. And I had asked one of the guys that was from the tour group. He was going to be my driver when I arrived in Accra. Right. So we had already negotiated the terms and all of that or whatever. So I let him know I was coming, and then I met this guy on Tinder here, and we had been chatting throughout the time that during COVID, right? Yeah. So he happened to call me like a couple of days before I was coming in, And I said, you know what? I'm actually on my way to Ghana in a couple of days. He said, I'll come pick you up from the airport. So I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. So I let my driver know I'm okay. I'll be coming in, but you know, this is where the Airbnb is. So you know, I'll let you know when I need you, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, cool. So the guy that I was talking to, he picked me up at the airport, and he introduced me to his boss's girlfriend, and so that was the lady that ended up I had some issues with in the beginning. So the next day, he took me to the Airbnb, and then the next day I had my driver come and pick me and take me to the apartment. The guy that had been helping me, that I was supposed to be in a relationship with, but that I didn't know that I didn't know I was in a relationship with. He had called me. Oh, he had called me the day I arrived. Actually, I didn't tell him I was in town. And when I was in Ethiopia, I kind of, you know, I'd spoken to him, and I kind of mentioned, like, you know, I really like Ethiopia. I think I might just stay here.
Yeah.
First thing out of his mouth was, well, what about me? Because what happened was, I forgot to tell you this. So when they shut down the border, I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, what's going to happen with my apartment, right? And so his housing situation wasn't very steady. So I said, okay, look, I will help you get a place of your own. Yeah. If you do, you know, help me get settled and everything. Right. And when they shut the border down, I said, well, hey, you know, I guess you might not be able to kind of look for a place. He was in tourism, so his job was kind of gone. So that's why I said, I'll help you get a place of your own, right? So I told him, well, stay in my apartment because I don't know the security of it. I don't know if it'll be, you know, okay there, whatever. So I paid for, like, I got a TV and, you know, just, you know, a few things to put in it so he can be comfortable in it and, you know. And then the agreement was once I moved, then he was going to find a place, you know, or he should have been looking for a place all along, and I would have paid for it. And then once I got here, he would move into his own place. And then when he started working again, he would pay me back what I paid for his place. Right. That was the agreement. Well, so your face.
I know, I'm just like, okay. Let's let it unfold.
Yes. So I talked to him the day that I arrived. Didn't tell him I was in town. So he had sent me pictures of the place, and he had sent me a landmark. So I kind of knew the area of where it was supposed to be, right? Yeah. So I had my driver drive me out there. This is day 2 of me being here. So we're driving. And we're driving.
Yep. Because you're going to Castle.
And we're driving.
Traffic,
I'm like, this is far. He's like, yeah, Castle is far. Yeah. We're driving. We're almost to Winneba, I think. Now that I know the area. Yeah. Okay, so we get to, like, the landmark, which was his church, his community church. So we're driving around. I couldn't find the building. So, mind you, he had told me that the day before he was in an accident. He got hit by a motorbike when he was crossing the street. Okay, so we're sitting at the church, and I'm telling my driver, like, I don't know where this place is, so let me call him. So I call him. He didn't answer. So then we're sitting there. So then I call again, and he answered. And I was like, where did you just tell me the place was? Near your church. It's near your church, right? Like, I was just pretending, like, you know, I was just trying to, you know. Yeah. So he's like, oh, yeah, it's by my church. I said, I'm sitting by your church, but I couldn't find the building. He's like, oh, you're here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. And so he's like, oh, you should have told me. And so he said, well, I'll come get you. I'm coming to get you. I was like, okay. So driver and I are sitting in the car. We look up the street. I could see him walking, right? Right. So he was supposed to have been hit by a motorbike, right? So he's walking normal. Right. Then when he realized he was in eye shot of the car,
Uh-huh.
he starts limping.
Oh gosh, no.
I was like, and I told my driver, I said, look at him. And so he was like, my goodness,
Oh, no.
So anyway, so he comes, he gets in the car, and so he takes us to the apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was they painted the building, and that's why I didn't recognize it. He didn't tell me they had painted the building. So anyway, so I go into the apartment, beautiful apartment or whatever, right? But he literally, it's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath apartment, very spacious, like very nice, right? He had literally been living in one room of the apartment, cobwebs everywhere, Dela. Like it was just not nice at all.
Really?
Yes. So I was like, okay, and I was supposed to have the furniture delivered in a few days, right?
To clean up.
So that evening, I went back to my Airbnb, and then my brother and my aunt came to welcome me home. Okay. So my aunt was like, so I hear you got an apartment somewhere. I said, yeah, it's in Kasawa. She looked at my brother. She's like, you better get her an apartment closer to us.
Yeah.
She's like, you can't live out there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I mean, she's like, if something happens to you, we can't get to you fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So I was like, okay, my aunt spoke, that's it.
Yeah.
So I think it was the next day, I think the furniture was coming the next day. So I went out there, and basically I talked to the landlord. And so the landlord, very nice lady, she was like, she saw me taking, because I had some stuff there already, so she saw me taking stuff out.
Yeah.
She's like, well, you leaving? I said, well, yes, ma'am. I said, my family don't want me staying out here. They said it's too far.
Yeah.
She was like, you have family here? It pays to have family. Even if you don't have biological family, find you a family.
Yeah.
Or find some guy, somebody that you can say, that's my brother, my uncle, or something, because it gets you far here. So she was like, ooh. I said, yes, ma'am, I have a brother. And she's like, have your brother call me.
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know what was going on, right? So the next day, I think my brother called her. So he said, ooh, that lady talked and talked, right? But she gave him the whole lowdown on this guy.
Oh, tell me.
So apparently, like I said, his living situation was, kind of unstable.
Yeah.
So he was literally living at his church. His pastor provided like spaces for guys. He would bring them off the streets and give them a place to stay. But during the year of return, there are a lot of pastors encouraging these guys to go out and find women from the West and marry them.
There it is.
So they could take advantage of them.
Right.
So, yeah. So he was part of that. And so basically, because the lady told my brother, he kept telling everyone, oh, my American wife is coming. My American wife is coming. So she said, oh, I thought, so when she saw me, she was like, oh, this lady don't belong out here.
Yeah.
She told my brother, she's like, oh, no, your sister's too refined to be living out here.
Yeah.
This is not a place for her.
Yeah.
And so I guess my brother told her, well, she has another place. Can she get her money back for the remainder of the lease or whatever? She said, I will definitely do what I can do, what I can, because he was trying to take advantage of her. And she told him all about like these guys how they move around in this neighborhood and so on and so forth. So I went and got the rest of my stuff and furniture out and everything. And so it was a Wednesday, I believe. I had told the guy, look, you've got to move out of the apartment because I'm not going to keep the apartment. And I said, have you found a place? well, no, I haven't found a place. So I thought we were going to be, I'm like, no, like this is not a
We?
we. Right. And so, right. So basically, he had made up in his mind he was going to, be with me. We were going to be living out
married.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all that. So the landlord basically was, I guess trying to get him out as well.
Yeah.
So, but she was telling us, like, I can't give you your money back till he's out and I
Yeah.
can rent the apartment and, and then I can get your
Yeah.
money. So, I think it was a Thursday. I had told him, I said, look, you need to find a place.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think it was that Thursday. He said, oh, I found a place and it's this much and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. And it was going to be like, I think, $900 or whatever for a year, something like that. It wasn't much.
Yeah.
So then I had another guy friend who was kind of like, helping me navigate getting settled and everything. And I had told him about the situation. He was like, don't have that guy call you. Have him call me.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's a better way to do it.
I said, okay. So I gave, and I hadn't given the guy, my husband, we'll call it, husband, my phone number, because I had gotten a phone number, I had done all of that, right? So I didn't give him that number. So I just gave him my friend's number.
Yeah.
So the guy never called, like, that whole day. That was Wednesday. It was Tuesday that I had gone. So then Thursday, I called the husband and was like, your guy never called. What's going on? I said, you give me the number so I can call him.
Yeah.
So he gave me the number. I called the guy myself. I said, well, I understand you have an apartment for my friends, etc. And so he said, yeah. He said, yeah, it's not far from here, whatever. It was in Adwoa. And he said, he told me the price. I said, okay, well, what's your banking information? And I said, but also, like, when can I come and look at it? So he was like, oh, yeah, I work till 4, so you can come anytime after 4. I said, well, with traffic going to Adwoa, it's going to be crazy, so I would come around 8. Okay? So he was like, okay, that's fine. So I'll come tomorrow. Okay, so that was Friday, right? Didn't hear from the guy all day. I kept calling him. He didn't respond, right? Okay, so I didn't hear from the husband or this guy until maybe Sunday. The husband called me.
Right.
Now, if somebody's going to get you an apartment, right?
You're going to pick up that phone.
You're going to pick up the phone. You're going to be on top of it.
Yeah.
Hey, what happened with the guy? Did you send the money? Did you whatever? Did you go look at whatever, right? You're going to be on top of it.
Yeah.
But not to hear from you for like a whole weekend.
Yeah.
And I told you needed to be out of my space by Monday. Okay. So that Sunday, the lady called my brother. And so she said, can you all come out here because I need to talk to you. So we went out there that Monday, and so at this point, I knew, like, oh, they were trying to scam me. They thought I was just going to send that money to that bank account, and then they were going to have their money, right? So I was livid at that point. I was like, okay, so now I see you. I really see all of it. I was trusting my gut. Knew something was happening. But now I see what you were trying to do. Yeah. So we all rode out there. My brother, this is my first time my brother had gone out there. So he's like, this is far. We're not there yet. This is far. Where are we going? Like, this is the whole car ride. Yeah. And so he's like, oh yeah, you couldn't live out here.
No.
So he was glad because at this point he had already got me an apartment. I had moved into my new apartment and everything. It was done, right? So we get out there, and so the lady greets us at the gate, and then the husband's sitting, and we're all sitting around, right? So basically she was like, well, she tells my brother, because my driver said, I'm staying out of it, I'll just interpret for you, right? So basically she tells my brother, like, you know, I really want to get your sister her money back, but I can't rent out the apartment. If he's still in the apartment, he's not moving out of the apartment. So we need to figure out something, you know, whatever. So then she turns to me and she says, "Do you want to be with him?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah, yeah.
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so she said, "Well, he presented that you were getting married," and I'm like, "Absolutely not."
Yes.
Right? So, so she said, "Well, he said that you were going to help him get an apartment. Are you able to do that? Like, what's gonna?" I said I was going to get him an apartment, so he tried to scam me on Friday.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So and she's like, "Wait, what?" And I told her what happened. She's like, so my brother and my driver didn't believe me at first, right? So she was like, "Oh, I cannot believe, why would you do that to her? Like, she's trying to help you and you would do, right?" So he's like sitting there with his head down, everything, right? So she said, "Well, will you still, help him?" I said, "No, absolutely not."
Of course not.
So my brother's like, sister, because my American attitude, my blood is boiling right now. Like, if I could have, I would have jumped up and kicked him in his chest and knocked that chair down and beat him, because I was livid, right? So, my brother was like, sister, okay, it's okay.
Yeah, that whole thing. Yes, calm down. Yeah.
So finally, she said, "Well, I can try to find a place for him. And from the money that I will give you back, can I just deduct it from that? And I'll try to see if someone will allow him to move in, and then we pay them once I rent this place out." I was still like, no, but my brother was like, "Yes, we'll do that." So I was he knew I was not going for it.
Not me, but okay.
So I was like, okay, whatever. So once we got in the car, it was so funny because both my brother and my driver were both like, "Yeah, he did it." And I was like, "Oh, now you guys believe me." I said, "Well, what's the difference?" So this is where we talk about cultural differences and little innuendos, body language, and all of these things that you've got to learn when moving to a new culture, a new country. And so they were like, "Yeah, his body language said he did it. The way he had his head down and everything, tell. Like you could, they knew." I was like, "Oh, well, you had to see that. You didn't believe me, or whatever."
Yeah.
So after we left there, so remember the lady that I told you that I had been chatting with, right? So my sister had sent me, it was something I needed from my sister in Texas. And so the lady was from Missouri, and I told her, send it to her. And because I was already on the continent, so I said, send it to her and have her bring it when she comes. So I had my driver to stop and pick that up from her. She comes walking up to the car with this guy, knew immediately. I'm like, she in the same situation. She is getting taken for every little piece of money that she has, right? So, and even my driver was like, something about that guy. It's not right, whatever, right? So anyway, ended up the landlord, she ended up just taking his stuff. He had left one day, and she just went in there, took all his stuff out, threw it out, and changed the lock so he couldn't come back in. So all the things he had been doing, first and foremost, he was part of this church. He had been bringing women in and out of the apartment, had parties up in there. They're sitting up there all day smoking marijuana. It was the party house. They locked the gate at like 12 o'clock at night, at midnight every night. He had found a way to sneak in and out. She said he'd be in there sleep all day, but then like at 4 something he'll go out or whatever. So she's like, I know he wasn't working or doing anything or whatever, right? So so it was it. And then I ended up having to pay like back water bill because he was supposed to be paying the water bill because it was shared tank. He hadn't done that. So it was like
I always say when you come to Ghana, you're going to get ripped off.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yes.
It's just how much.
Yes.
It's up to you to spot the leak as quickly as possible and put a stop to it.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's part of the baptism of moving here.
You're right.
Yeah, so that's essentially what has happened to you.
So,
Everybody has a story.
Yeah, so luckily, I didn't get taken for a lot, and luckily the landlord was so awesome.
Yeah, she seemed very nice.
She was so nice. She was a girl's girl, which is very rare to find here in Ghana. So she got me my money, back, and so I was good. So yeah, but so this lady, she wasn't so lucky, but that's another story for another day.
Really?
Yes.
Oh gosh, it all came out in the end.
No, she wasn't okay in the end.
She wasn't okay. Oh no. Okay. Wow. All right. So, what has your, a lot of people come to Ghana and they end up having to move back because things don't work out for one reason or another.
Yep.
What has enabled you to be able to stay here and be here for 5 years so far?
Consistent income from outside. And family support. Yeah, even though there was some drama within my family unit as well, but I have another brother. There was some drama with that, but my brother, shout out to my brother Stephen. He gets on my nerves, but I love him to pieces. And he, has always been there. I joke all the time because I've been here 5 years and I just learned how to pay the ECG.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't do anything. So this was great for me because, as single women living in the West, we're so hyper independent.
Yes.
We've had to do everything. And so I was really, really lucky to have my brothers who did everything.
Yeah.
I had not had to find a place to live. I, putting my businesses together. They did all the footwork and the paperwork.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do it. So I tell people my experience was a little different because I had that support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think having income from the West really
Absolutely.
helps.
That is the one thing that I think that people, they misjudge that. They think, Africa is cheap, but it's not as cheap as you think it is. And even having income from the West, I still, things are still a little tight sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because especially with the fluctuating, CDO,
Yeah.
So, you might buy a mango for, 5 CDs, within, it turns into 15 CDs.
Yeah.
And, so you have to be able to deal with that adjustment.
Yeah.
But so a lot of people come and they don't succeed because one, they don't have enough income coming in. They may be moving here with their savings. You can't do that.
You have to have some type of
steady income. Two, you have a lot of people who have romanticized Africa, and they're not prepared for the leak, as I like the way you call it. You just said that. They're not prepared for the leak. And so they get taken advantage of, and they may lose all of their resources, right? And so you've got to move slow. Slow and steady here.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree.
You got to move slow and steady.
Don't just jump in and think, I'm going to start a business tomorrow, I'm going to do this tomorrow.
No.
Study.
No, you've got to move slow. It's so funny because the driver I had when I first got here, he moved to Dubai.
Oh, really?
And we were having a conversation. He was like, oh my gosh, I thought you were just so stingy with your money. Now I see why you were so conservative with your money. He said, I've been broke twice here, and that's a scary feeling. I say, yes. Yeah, you don't want to be out here popping bottles and so forth and so forth. You've got to be conservative with your money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I think people also, because they come into Africa and, like you say, they believe that everything is cheap, they live way above their means.
Absolutely.
You don't spend like that in the West, but you come here and you spend like that, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And I always say holding cities is like holding water.
It is.
It just
goes so fast.
You can have 1,000 cities in your wallet. By the time you get home, that whole 1,000 is gone.
Oh, yeah.
And you can't even say what you spent it on.
Yeah.
It's like,
Absolutely. Especially if you have to pay for transportation. I'm so grateful I have a car. I got a car like the 3rd year I was here, but I had a personal driver for the first 3 years. The first 3 years I had a personal driver. which that I luckily I could afford to
Yeah.
have him on payroll. But I got a car and he drove. He would use that. But after a while, I had to start driving myself.
Yeah, you do
right?
have to.
Yeah. You just got to jump out there and do it. But transportation and housing are your two biggest expenses.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So are you enjoying your time in Ghana? Do you think you're going to be here for a long time, or would you like to travel somewhere else?
Yeah, no, so, I mean, this is my home base. I mean, like I said, I had it in my mind to be nomadic a bit, but, yeah, that's the funny thing. Wherever I land, I end up being like this socialite, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, Ghana's got me stuck here for a minute because I've got so many things going on.
Yeah.
But definitely next year I'll start like just travel, just, be in and out. So,
Yeah.
but I was thinking about like with the state of America, I don't know if I want to stick with that, my American citizenship. I don't know about that. It's got me second guessing some things, but and I don't know. People are starting to frown upon us with that American passport.
Yeah,
so, I don't know. It might limit our movements. So, but just I want to think about just taking advantage of being on this side of the world, and being able to just explore more. So I try to do a different African country every year. So
really good.
I did Kenya a couple of years ago. I didn't go anywhere last year. But this year, I think I'm gonna, do some more like, countries closer, just some little short getaways or whatever. Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't decided.
I think that's amazing because traveling, really, you don't know what you don't know until it happens. You get the experience, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I've been missing this. One of my things I have right now is like, I don't want to die before having experienced certain things. There are things that are out there that you probably fall in love with, but you haven't given yourself the opportunity to be able to experience it. And so honestly, I love Ghana. I'm so grateful to be able to be here because it really does open up your mind to different possibilities that you perhaps wouldn't have thought of being in the West. And so I love Ghana for that.
It's so funny because with my modeling and acting, like that was something I wouldn't have been able to do in the States. But here, I know all the the people. Right?
Exactly. It's really about networking.
It is,
isn't it?
So it's just I fell into the right network. And so that's why I say I believe in your path, right? I'm supposed to be here. I've fallen into the right network,
Exactly.
into the same, in the right circle. So I can fulfill that dream, something that I had just kind of put aside because I didn't think it would be a reality. So there's so many opportunities here.
That's great. So what advice would you give to someone that was perhaps thinking about moving here now?
Okay, very good question. So I have a spiel.
Let's go.
But basically, first visit. I mean, you have a lot of people who come and then they end up staying. Like one of my closest friends here, actually two of my two closest friends here, they both came for 2-week vacations and ended up staying. So one's engaged and the other one, she's got a wonderful business. You interviewed her before. Wonderful business, doing phenomenal here. But that's just rare because they had resources.
Right. Yes.
And support. That's coming
the key.
in. You have to have the resources and the support. Be aware of coming here. And having in your mind that you're going to buy land or start a business right away. Don't do that to yourself. I was here for 3.5 years before I decided on buying anything. Period.
And that's great advice, actually.
Stop.
Don't jump.
Don't jump into anything because first and foremost, if you have not lived here, you will know if you're gonna like it or not. You don't know if it's sustainable for you.
The areas.
You don't understand how things work here. You're gonna be frustrated a whole lot being here. Like my guy with the ice. I
can't get ice. Can't get ice.
So give yourself some time. Come visit a couple of times and see if you like it. And then if you do decide to come, and I always say too, get an apartment. Like, doesn't cost much to to get a little space of your own. If you're gonna come back and forth, because like I said, getting a place to live is probably the hardest thing to do. If you don't have family connection, or or some a friend connection or something like that, it's difficult to find a place, right? So make that a priority if you plan to come back and forth, and then spend as much time as possible, at minimum a month, to get a lay of the land and kind of understand how things operate. You're still going to have some issues. I say there's like this timeline. The first 2 to 3 months is like party, everybody's welcoming you, everybody's happy to see you, whatever. But honestly, they're just assessing you and see what they can get out of you.
I'm glad you said that on me. They'll come for me.
Honey, people come for me all the time about it, but it's the truth, right?
It is the truth.
Every person that I've ever said that to, they realized it.
Yeah.
So by month 4, you are going to feel so abandoned.
Yeah, that's the truth.
You're going to feel so abandoned, because all the people that were around you before, they're going to realize, oh, we can't get anything in from them, or the tap has run dry, and they will drop you like a bad habit. Yeah. So don't get so caught up in all of that. Sit down, take your time. And I forgot, my number 1 actually is, if you're thinking about moving out of the U.S., whether you're coming to Ghana, anywhere on the continent, or anywhere, go to therapy.
That's great.
One of the other things that I see happen, people crash and burn, is because they are dealing with unresolved trauma. Right. I've seen people popping off. I know somebody who had a restaurant here, was in a conflict with their landlord, and they hit the woman. And she lost her space, or whatever, and she had to move. Like, what were you thinking? Why would you hit somebody? Like, you don't do that here.
Absolutely.
Like, there was something going on within you that you just lost it like that. So that's money and unresolved trauma are the 2 things that I see are the biggest reasons people crash and burn. Yeah,
that's really great advice. Really great.
Yeah.
Okay, so where can people find out a little bit more about you?
So Mental Health Movement on IG. Also Adwoa _Adwoa 1072 on IG, and then for coaching or therapy services, you can call me at 055-607-5752.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on today. We've had such great conversations today. Honestly, it's been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Guys, that is the end of today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've had a really great time today. We've had some great conversations. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment and share this video.